Hello, everyone. I'm Jennifer. The name of my company is Jennifer French. I am an internal family systems practitioner, also known as IFS. I've had over 20 years of experience teaching and practicing meditation. I'm also a certified Kundalini yoga instructor, and I integrate these three tools to help clients heal and gain deeper insights within. I'm here to speak to you today about why I was drawn to the internal family systems modality of therapy. So, I've also taken some notes that are in front of me. I hope that that doesn't end up being distracting for you, but wanted to share with you all a little bit about my story and why IFS. So, the very first time that I read about IFS, I had an experience that I had only had one other time in my life in that same way. I had been working in an art gallery on the Upper East Side of New York City, selling art and running the gallery, and it was actually my first legit job out of college. So I was really excited about the job. But I soon realized that this job was really about evaluating the art and seeing dollar signs. So, really trying to just understand how much this art could be sold for, which ended up actually being quite unfulfilling for me. Um, and due to that, I basically took a break one day, walked up the street to a Barnes and Noble, and I went to the career book section. I found a book called Careers in Natural Medicine. I bought it, walked back down the street, sat at my desk, I made a little prayer, and in hopes that I would really find my heart's passion. And I opened up that book and I landed right on the first page of a chapter called Midwifery. And when that happened, I there was just something inside of me that knew that that's what I was going to do. So I did end up moving forward with that path, and I needed some more courses in order to get accepted into school, the school that I wanted to attend. So I went actually back to Hunter College and took microbiology, biology, and statistics, got into the school that I wanted to get into, and then essentially the rest was history. Um, I trained with a very well known midwife. I got a lot of experience under my belt, finally opened up my own practice. And I tell you this essentially because it's exactly how I felt about IFS when I opened my browser and began to read about it for the very first time. So, also in that experience, I had a whole sensation in my heart and my belly, and I just knew that IFS was for me. To say a little bit more about that, I guess the way that I would put it was that I knew that IFS was in alignment with the core truths that I, through many years of refinement, had come to value as my core self principles. So here's the other thing. I had thought about becoming a therapist many times before, and actually, and maybe partly because of this, I hadn't had great experiences with therapy. And I tried a few different therapists over the years. I just did not feel that I was gaining deep insight into myself. In fact, while they occasionally gave me something to consider or a different way of looking at things that I really appreciated, I continually found that the amazing network I had of deep and insightful friends basically provided me with way more insight and value, even to the extent that friends challenged and pushed me out of my comfort zone. But these friendships were doing more for me, providing me with greater insights than my therapist did. Okay, So, pausing for a moment, people of the World Wide Web, I will provide my disclaimer here that in no way am I criticizing therapists or therapy. In fact, in retrospect, I believe that I chose a type of therapy that probably just didn't work for me. And I didn't need to listen to myself speak. I really needed insight and I wanted active help. And to this day, I have many IFS therapist friends who also love and practice other modalities of therapy. I also have IFS therapist friends who, once they discovered IFS, practice nothing else because they truly believe that complete and full healing potential of IFS. And I certainly am in alignment with that in terms of my experience. Excuse me. Okay, so this is where I then began studying internal family systems, and I took my level one training and actually then had some of my IFS therapist friends from that training recommend clients to me, and that's kind of how I got going. But here's what hit me about IFS. So, overarchingly, my experience with IFS is that the introspective process itself is extremely spiritual and even meditative in nature. Now, I believe that this is part of the reason that it so naturally resonated with me, because it's tied into my whole history, my choices, and what naturally resonates with me. I have a long history of meditating. It's really been at the core of my spiritual practice for over 20 years. So, to share a little more about that, more specifically, I worked with and taught a form of meditation whereby one connects within to what we call the God self. And many of you have heard me refer to this in other videos, but this is the pure part within, the part that's the same within each person, pure and unadulterated. And some of the qualities would be love, wisdom, with no agenda, no opinion, no judgment. And actually, this is the pure nugget of love and light that is the same within every person. So, for semantic considerations, and because words are important, you could think of the God self as the pure essence of God within you. And surrounding this are the qualities that are beautiful and unique to you, which I would call your soul expression. It's like if you think of a diamond that has kind of different facets that make it uniquely shine, that those are the things that kind of make up your personality. But then that light that comes through and illuminates is the self, so the same source within us all. So, back to this form of meditation whereby we connect with the God self and actually engage in asking questions within, sitting in silence with no agenda, no opinion, and allowing for that voice of wisdom to emerge. I would then follow whatever guidance I received, and this is essentially how I lived my life for 11 years. So, this may help to explain why IFS has worked so extraordinarily well with me. During an IFS session, we are addressing a particular situation, scenario, or feeling. My client decides what they want to focus on, and then we gently dive into a series of questions that foster the unfoldment of getting to know how parts within us interact, what they might feel, and what opinions they might have. So essentially, we explore whatever this aspect of us wants to communicate, and we spend time with it and allow it to express, have a voice, have feelings. Also, perhaps most importantly, we allow this part of ourselves that we're focused on to feel loved, respected, and understood. We build trust and ask permission so that aspects of ourselves that typically haven't expressed or been fully understood can open up to us. So this is another tremendously beautiful element of the IFS process, is asking permission and allowing the client to really drive that journey through their inner world. And this leads us to another key and unique element of IFS, which is that IFS, and I'm actually not sure that any other modality of therapy acknowledges this so directly, but IFS acknowledges and directly works with the self within. And this introspective nature activates the client's inner connection to the source of wisdom within. And what I've seen in terms of a client directed, self led process is that the client's inner system knows exactly what's true for them and can tune into this self wisdom that's at the core of our healing. So, also, just to backtrack a little bit, please don't let my long term history with meditation dissuade you from trying IFS, as though you have to come to IFS with meditation experience, because you certainly do not. This is simply one of the reasons that IFS has resonated so deeply with me. It's as though right from the beginning it was a glove that just fit, and I could tell it would simply from reading about it. So this was my inner wisdom drawing me to a concrete and formalized way that I could ultimately serve others. And that said, you don't need to know a thing about meditation or be a meditator to work with the IFS model. In fact, my hope is that this resonates with at least some of you, and that there's some nugget in what I've shared that draws you to engage with IFS. So here's the high-level recap of what drew me to IFS. IFS is spiritual and meditative in nature. IFS is client-directed and therefore empowers the client and provides incredible insights because we allow the client's inner wisdom to guide the healing and discovery process. IFS also acknowledges the wisdom of self and therefore encourages balance within our inner worlds through a deeper connection to the part of us that's pure love. So now here too, please don't let terminology distract you. If self doesn't work, if God's self doesn't work, think of this as the universal connection, the thread that binds us all, that binds us to the wisdom of the planet or the universe. Call it love, call it compassion, call it goodness. The point is, it's the highest, most purified part of ourselves. And perhaps I've actually left out another personal element of IFS as a model, which is that it brings an individual's system into balance through compassion and understanding. And as I practiced IFS, I began to see parts of myself that were irritable or tense or a little anxious just begin to literally fall away. And for me in particular, I have a part that can be critical. I have a lot of Virgo in my chart, for those of you that like astrology. And so along with the positive ability to focus and dive into the details, I also tend to have an inner critic that can sometimes act out. So as I worked with this part, it's relaxed more and more. And I've found that as I grow in a deep compassion toward myself within and understand actually the positive role that this inner critic part has tried to play, I've also been able to really appreciate and have compassion on myself and even others in kind of surprising new ways, especially since I felt like I had already done a lot of healing work around this. It was so refreshing to see these layers kind of shed off. So I believe that this is a universal experience for those practicing IFS, because a compassionate perspective is held. Healing can take place and people change and thrive in unexpected ways as they begin to see through this lens of compassion. Another aspect that I love about IFS is that once a client is engaged in this process, they're able to do it on their own if they so desire. And IFS is just so empowering in this way that once you have these tools, they're yours to navigate your inner world with. Also, just an FYI, and I want to just give a shout out to this because the IFS therapist community is amazing, and there are people who really want to spread the word about IFS and really want it to be affordable for all. These individuals have given so much by creating different resources that are available and super affordable and accessible to everyone. So, an example of that would be Bonnie Weiss has a self therapy workbook that's a companion to Jay Early's book that's titled Self Therapy. And it is literally what it says it is, a workbook that guides you through the IFS model of therapy step by step on your own. In addition, if you're looking for IFS support and want to see somebody in your area, you can always go to the IFS Institute to find a practitioner near you. And then, of course, if you'd like to work with me, most of my client sessions are conducted remotely online, and I work internationally and with individuals and groups as well. So you can always find me via my website at jennifer-french.com or on Facebook at Jennifer French. And if you are interested in more content from me, I am most active in my free Facebook group called Jennifer French Inspire. This is where I engage with my community. We meditate. I provide inspiration and encouragement. I provide live video experiences where people can join me live and interact and ask questions. So please join us for free at Jennifer French Inspire on Facebook. I'd love to see you there. And please also feel free to like this video if you did, comment, ask questions. I'd love to respond, and I hope to be in touch with some of you and support you in some way toward your ever deepening experience with yourself. Thank you.